The first rays of the morning sun stretched across the valley as Daniel stood on the wooden bridge overlooking the river. The water flowed gently beneath him, glistening like liquid silver. Most people crossed the bridge without giving the river a second glance, but Daniel stayed there almost every morning, staring at the endless current. He wasn't admiring the beauty. He was searching for answers. At 28, Daniel felt as though life had become one long uphill battle. He had worked hard for years, yet nothing seemed to go according to plan. His small business had failed after months of sacrifice. A job opportunity he had hoped for was given to someone else. Friends he trusted slowly drifted away. Every setback felt like another stone placed on his shoulders. The harder he fought against life, the heavier those stones became. "I don't understand," he whispered to himself. "Why does everything keep going wrong?" One morning, as he leaned against the bridge, he noticed an old man sitting quietly beside the river with a fishing rod resting beside him. Strangely, the man wasn't fishing. He was simply watching the water. Curious, Daniel walked over. "Good morning," Daniel greeted. The old man smiled warmly. "Good morning." "You've been sitting here for quite a while," Daniel said. "Are you waiting for fish?" The old man chuckled. "No." "Then, what are you doing?" "I'm learning." Daniel looked puzzled. "Learning from what?" The old man pointed toward the flowing river. "From my greatest teacher." Daniel couldn't hide his confusion. "The river?" "Yes." Daniel laughed politely. "I don't see what a river can teach." The old man picked up a dry leaf lying beside him and gently placed it on the water. They both watched as the leaf floated effortlessly downstream. "Tell me," the old man asked, "did the leaf struggle?" "No." "Did it complain about the rocks?" Daniel shook his head. "It simply kept moving." The old man nodded. "Exactly." Daniel folded his arms. "But life isn't that simple." "No," the old man replied softly. "Life is even simpler. We are the ones who make it difficult." Daniel frowned. "I've tried everything. I work hard. I plan carefully. I refuse to give up. Still, things fall apart." The old man smiled. "The river never argues with the rocks." Daniel looked back at the rushing water. "What do you mean?" "When the river meets a stone, it doesn't stop. It doesn't become angry. It doesn't waste energy trying to destroy the rock. It simply flows around it." Daniel remained silent. The old man continued. "Yet eventually, even the hardest rock is shaped by the patient flow of water." Those words stayed with Daniel long after he left. The following week brought more disappointment. A client canceled an important contract. Daniel wanted to explode with frustration. Then he remembered the river. Instead of reacting with anger, he calmly contacted another potential client. A few days later, that new client became one of his best customers. It wasn't a miracle. It was simply what happened when he stopped fighting every obstacle. Weeks passed. Daniel began changing little things. When people criticized him unfairly, he no longer spent days trying to prove them wrong. When plans changed unexpectedly, he adjusted instead of complaining. When problems appeared, he asked himself one question: how can I flow around this? Little by little, his life became lighter, not because life had become easier, but because he had stopped carrying unnecessary burdens. Months later, Daniel returned to the river. The old man was there again. This time, Daniel sat beside him without saying a word. They watched the water together. Finally, Daniel smiled. "I think I understand now." The old man looked at him. "What have you learned?" Daniel pointed toward the river. "It keeps moving." "Yes." "It doesn't waste time wishing yesterday's water would come back." The old man nodded. "It accepts every bend." "Yes." "It doesn't fear obstacles." "No." "It simply finds another way." The old man's eyes sparkled. "You've been paying attention." Daniel laughed. "I used to think strength meant forcing life to happen exactly as I wanted." "And now?" Now I know real strength is adapting without giving up. The old man smiled. The river never quits. They sat quietly. Birds sang overhead. The breeze danced across the water. The river continued its endless journey toward the sea. Years passed. Daniel built another business. This time it grew slowly but steadily. He faced challenges. He experienced losses. He celebrated victories. But through every season, one lesson remained with him. Whenever life became difficult, he would visit the river, not to escape, but to remember. One afternoon, a young woman stood on the same bridge where Daniel once searched for answers. She looked exhausted. She stared at the water with tears in her eyes. Daniel walked beside her. "Are you all right?" "I don't know," she admitted. "Everything feels impossible." Daniel smiled gently. "Come." He led her to the riverbank. Picking up a small leaf, he placed it on the water. Together they watched it drift downstream. "It doesn't fight the current," Daniel said. "No." "It doesn't stop because of the rocks." "No." "It simply keeps moving." The young woman watched silently. Daniel smiled. Life isn't about avoiding obstacles. It's about learning to flow through them. For the first time in days, she smiled. The river had found another student. Moral of the story. Like the river, life moves forward. Obstacles will appear, plans will change, and storms will come. Fighting every challenge only drains your strength. Instead, stay calm, adapt, and keep moving. The strongest people are not those who never face difficulties, but those who learn to flow through them with patience, wisdom, and resilience. The river reaches the ocean not because it is the strongest, but because it never stops flowing.